Margaret.
Bye. See you Monday.
Okay. Bye. Bye, Margaret. Bye. Bye. Bye, Margaret. I'm home, Mommy. Mommy? Did you have a nice day today? Mommy? 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 Let's go see Aunt Leigh.
God, you're here.
Are you Mrs. Miller?
I thought I'd go out of my mind.
Lieutenant August and Sergeant Willards.
I'm sorry. Ever since I stepped into that kitchen, I've been shaking.
The report we got said it was your brother's house.
That's right, George Ord. He's out of town on business.
Where?
I'm not sure. He travels a lot. He sells advertising for several trade journals.
Would you mind showing us?
No, it's this way.
Aunt Leigh?
Go back inside, honey.
Can't I come with you?
You watch the TV and tell me what I've missed.
All right.
She doesn't know?
She came over to my house and said her mother wasn't home. Well, she always comes over when Marion's gone, so I didn't think anything of it. But then she said there was a terrible mess in the kitchen. The door's just around the corner. I'd better get back to Margaret.
That's fine, Mrs. Miller.
was the one who always said Fridays were dull in this town.
Lieutenant August, let me have Chief Untermeyer. Chief, that call was for real. No, we haven't spotted a body yet. We just got here. Charlie will check the grounds. I'll go through the house. Yeah, you better send the boys from the lab as soon as you can. Right, see you here.
Little blood in the back steps is all.
Garage?
62 Ford sedan, light colored, registered to a Mrs. Marion Ord.
Check the hospital.
Think she could have gotten that far?
Well, somebody could have taken her. And there was a somebody.
Okay. Sergeant Willens. And would check all hospitals emergency, please, for a Mrs. Marion Ord. That's M-A-R-I-A-N-O-R-D. Marion Ord.
Just a minute. Any luck?
Yeah, county reported the hit and run on Highway 1, but that's the only emergency all day. By the way, I checked the rest of the house. Nothing. Except the deep freeze out there. Chief?
Oh, Charlie. Get this to Rivera, please.
Right.
What about the body, Dan?
So far, there isn't any.
Well, I've called the sheriff's department. They'll pick up any suspicious hitchhikers or transients.
Well, that's good.
Not really, but I had to work through Sheriff Muntz.
It's out of his jurisdiction.
I know, but he insists on cooperating with us.
You mean he smells publicity?
Well, I might as well take a look.
When's all you want? Slaughterhouse. Right in there. I notified the press, so the locust will be descending any minute.
Gordon, you'd better wait outside, head off those reporters. You can get a set off that?
I doubt it. Whatever there was got all smeared up.
You got here pretty fast, Floyd?
It's murder, isn't it?
Well, there's evidence of physical violence, Sheriff, but no corpse.
Have you been looking for it?
No, not really. You know how it is. Corpses are so messy and everything.
Meanwhile, if you don't mind, we'll take a look around. Might find something you've missed.
All right, Muntz. But I appreciate it if you wouldn't interfere with the lab boys. They're professionals.
That's close to impertinence, Lieutenant.
Too bad. I thought I made it all the way.
Look, you have to wait till I get the okay.
Everything all right, Gordon?
Under control, sir.
Just relax, fellas. You'll get your story, all right?
Just one shot, Mrs. Miller. Please, let us in. Oh, come on, Mrs. Miller. Just one shot at you and the little girl, Margaret. Look, we have a lot of freedom. They have a right to all that.
You two. What's going on, Maddox?
Nothing, Lieutenant.
They won't go away.
Did you invite them here?
All we want is a shot of the little girl.
Lady said no, Maddox.
Look, Lieutenant, there are 35,000 people in Santa Luisa. They got a right to know what's going on here. We got freedom of the press in this town.
Yeah, that's right, Maddox. And I've got the freedom to crack open the head of a couple of trespassers.
Let's go, Ken.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Did you find her?
No. I'm sorry about Maddox. He's not a bad guy, but a case like this seems to bring out the worst in people.
A case like this.
What I mean is a wino was found beaten to death in an alley. Nobody cares. But something happens to a young, attractive woman like Mrs. Ord, and suddenly the whole world's got an interest. I don't know. Maybe it's resentment that something beautiful was taken away from them.
In Marion's case, I'm not sure that's altogether true.
Would you care to explain, Mrs. Miller?
Just that Marion was no better or worse than anyone else. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'd better fix Margaret's dinner.
Sheriff, how long do you think it'll be before you get this thing wrapped up?
I can't tell, but I can tell you this. I'm putting as many men on this case as I can spare. And I suppose Chief Hunter might all do the same. I'll also tell you this, that any disclosure, any development, any news, I'm going to get to you guys as soon as I can. And I want full and proper disclosure in the papers of all these events.
Thanks, Lou. No, just wish him lots of luck. Yeah. Hey, Lieutenant?
Yeah?
I called about a man forcing a woman into his car. Turns out it was the guy's wife. She had gotten drunk at a baby shower, and he was trying to get her home. Except she didn't want to go.
Well, good for her. Swinging baby showers are hard to find.
Yeah.
What about that kid's call, seeing something thrown off the old Point Street pier?
I called the Coast Guard, and they're checking it out. But the tide currents are so fast, they doubt if they'll come up with anything.
Just talked to Ord's boss. He says George Ord was supposed to be in Fresno yesterday, and he always stays at the Vineyard Inn.
Yeah, hello? Hello, Vineyard Inn. Yes, this is Sergeant Willens with the Santa Luisa Police Department. Yes, we'd like to know if you have a George Ord
ORD registered there.
Called in all the off-duty boys, Dan. They're checking out every dump, every storm drain, every sewer, every garbage can in town.
Thank you. Lieutenant, the Vineyard Inn has no George Ord registered there. Last night either.
We have a description on his car.
Plates, too.
Okay, send out an APB. Have him picked up.
You don't look satisfied?
Should I be?
Too easy for you?
Maybe.
Well, we just get lucky sometimes, that's all.
You want my guess?
Here, go ahead.
This isn't going to be one of those times. If he wants to go home, take him there. We're on our way now. George Ord was picked up in Paso Robles early this morning. He'll be in town any minute.
You're going to take him to his house?
That's right. Well, it looks better.
It smells terrible. They had to practically hose the place down with ammonia.
Clears out the sinuses.
Oh, by the way, the lab estimated the loss of blood at 7 pints.
If I remember my high school biology, the human body carries around about 10.
And we're definitely looking for a corpse, right? No more walking wounded?
Well, we had to be sure.
The lab also said the blood type was O.
That's Mary North's type.
How'd you know that?
The hospital where she had the little girl. They keep files. Where's the grocery list?
Well, the boys probably took it down to the lab to check the fingerprints. They certainly wouldn't have destroyed it.
Okay. Kelly, I want you to round up all the delivery men that might have been here yesterday. The mailman, bakery, laundry, cleaning, whatever.
Why don't they ever have a butler on cases like this? Okay. Dan, do you really think it could have been a delivery man?
Possible. Mr. Ord? Lieutenant August. Anything new, Lieutenant? I'm afraid not.
This is what happened, isn't it?
Yes.
They haven't found her body yet, have they?
No, they haven't.
It just doesn't make sense, Lieutenant. Marianne was a wonderful woman, beautiful and alive. Who'd want to do such a terrible thing?
Well, maybe you can help us, Mr. Ord. Anything serious?
Oh, no. This is just a cut. Jack slipped while I was changing a tire. Lieutenant, I'd like to see my daughter. I spoke with my sister on the phone this morning, and she said that she hadn't told her yet, so I guess it's up to me.
First, Mr. Ord, would you tell us where you were yesterday?
Me?
Just routine, sir.
I was in Fresno on business.
Whereabouts in Fresno?
The Vineyard Inn.
Could you give us the names of the customers you saw yesterday?
Are you sure this is just routine?
Mr. Ord, apparently a murder's been committed here. We have to check out everything.
I have my trip report to the company for last week. That'll give you everything you need. Now, if I could see my daughter.
Check it out.
Mr. Ord, can you tell us any more information? What about the car? Any new legal place? What about the blood? The blood that was found all over the kitchen. Surely there must have been something. What is that information at all? Break it up. Come on, Leigh. We want to ask a few questions.
Mr. Ord wants to talk to his daughter. As soon as he does, he'll make a statement and answer all your questions.
Lieutenant, look, all we want to do
Forget
is...
it, Dave. He'll just break your head open. That's right, and I'm good at it.
All right, back off. Back off! On the back. Get inside. We have a lot of people.
Where's Margaret?
She's in my bedroom watching television. She doesn't know anything, just that her mother went away. What in God's name will he tell her?
Well, it's fortunate you live next door. At least for your niece's sake.
It's no coincidence, Lieutenant. George arranged it. Marion was... well, Marion kept herself very busy.
In other words, as a mother, she wasn't adequate.
I didn't say that.
I'd like to show you this first, rather than Mr. Ord. I found this in the bottom drawer of Mrs. Ord's bureau. It seemed to have been hidden.
Would you mind? Sit down, Lieutenant. I didn't know that Marion kept trophies like this.
Well, do you know who they are, Mrs. Miller?
At least 3 of them, I suppose. This one's name is, Billy or, Bobby something. Foley, I think. He was a lifeguard at the sports club.
And the others?
This is, Reverend Reinhagen. Marion was a member of his church. I went with her once to hear him preach.
What church?
Well, he called it the Church of Contemplation. I'm afraid it was one of those off-center denominations, sort of a mixture of Christianity and East Indian double talk, inner serenity, that kind of thing.
I gather you disapproved.
I only went once, as I said. But perhaps it was helpful to Marion. At least for a while.
For a while?
She stopped attending services.
What about the others?
The only other one I know is this one. His name's Paul Durston.
Durston.
Maybe you know him. He's an attorney here in town. He's also president of the sports club. I'm afraid I don't know this one.
I'm afraid I do. Sal Gilman. Well, thank you, Mrs. Miller. Could you tell your brother I'd like to see him when he finishes talking to his daughter?
Are you going to speak to him about these?
Not if I don't have to. Well, Mrs. Miller, you must realize one thing. You may have found these before I did.
Mr. Ord only had one appointment on Friday. It was with the Amtech Supply Company in Fresno. Now, today is Saturday, and they're closed, so obviously I couldn't contact them.
Amtech Supply. Doug Thomas impressed with our circulation figure and our inquiry ratio. Promises consider us for a 2-page color spread. Well, that gives us a name. Try and reach him.
The owner said you wanted to see me?
Vineyard Inn tells us you weren't registered there, Mr. Ord.
No, I wasn't. I stayed in a cheap little motel on Highway 99. It's $4 a night. Vineyard Inn is $15. So for $1, the night clerk at the Vineyard Inn writes me a phony receipt for $15, and I pocket $10 from my expense account. Guess I should have told you that before.
What was the name of that motel?
The Cloverleaf. You think I had something to do with this, didn't you?
I'm not forming any opinions yet, Mr. Ord. I'm just collecting information. Like the fact you lied to me.
Well, then there's something else you should know. That trip report isn't exactly true. Did you read it?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see Doug Thomas at Amtech's site. I waited for him in his outer office for 2 hours, but my boss wouldn't enjoy reading about that.
Anyone see you there?
Well, I was a receptionist, that's all.
Mr. Ord registered at the Cloverleaf on Thursday night, and he checked out at 12:30 Friday.
Yeah. After I left Thomas, I was going to ride on down to Paso Robles.
Did you?
Yeah, that's when I got this. I got there finally. It must have been about 7:30, I guess. Paso Robles Haven. That business in the trip report about the Vineyard Inn, it makes it look bad, doesn't it?
I'll say one thing, Mr. Ord. Your professional ethics are pretty second class.
Look, I realize it's not much of an excuse, but I needed that extra money.
Keep that closet full of dresses?
I just needed the money.
What was the name of that receptionist?
I don't know. I don't even think I could tell you what she looks like.
Well, I hope she has a better memory. Stay around where we can talk to you, Mr. Ord.
Boss says you wanted to see me.
Lieutenant August.
Yeah?
I'm investigating the disappearance of Marion Ord. Hear about it?
How could I help hearing about it? It's all over the TV, papers.
You knew her?
I guess I saw her. Yeah, well, I was lifeguarding out at the sports club last summer, and she was a member.
And?
And nothing. Haven't seen her in months.
What about this photograph?
She's like all those middle-aged ladies out there, you know? They put on a bathing suit, and they think they're taking off 15 years.
Why would she keep this one?
Beats me. Except she got me fired, that's for sure. She kept hanging around me. First, the swimming lessons for her daughter, then the life-saving test, and then just for nothing. Guess some of the other women thought something was going on, and they complained.
Was anything going on?
Are you kidding? I got enough of my own generation.
Too bad you have such a low opinion of yourself.
What do you mean?
Nothing. Just stay in town.
Anybody see you come in here? don't think so.
Mrs. Durston, she keeps watching us like a bird dog.
Afraid you wouldn't come.
I wanted to give you back your key.
What's the matter?
Billy, it's all wrong. I shouldn't have come up here. Not the first time, not now.
But you did. And you know why you did?
But that doesn't make it right, does it?
Well, make it right, okay?
No. No, I mean it. I've never done anything like this before, not ever. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Nothing's wrong. Just relax.
No.
No. Then you tell me something. Why do you keep coming back?
I can't help it.
Okay. Come on, Marion.
No, Billy. I'm married. And compared to you, I'm just an old lady.
Old lady? You're the youngest woman I've ever met. And you're more of one than I've ever met.
Billy, I'm not too old, am I?
Foley, open the door. You can pack your things, Foley.
Look, Mr. Durston, nothing happened. I mean, nothing happened.
Whatever did or did not happen doesn't make any difference.
Mr. Durston,
the point is that there has been too much talk and that this is a family club. Parents don't want to have to explain to their children what Mrs. Ord is doing in Bill Foley's room. Now, I think it might be wise if you submitted your resignation, Mrs. Ord.
But you don't understand. It's really not what you think.
Mrs. Ord, if you don't give us your resignation, we may have to ask for it. That might be rather difficult to explain to your husband.
I'll send it in tomorrow.
I'm sorry I have to be the one to do this, but I am afraid that I am president of the club. And the complaints come to me.
Listen, maybe it's just as well. As soon as I get another job, I'll run an apartment. Next time we won't have to meet in this fishbowl.
No. No next time.
What are you talking about?
I'm not going to meet you anymore, Billy. Not here, not any place. It was all a mistake.
Now listen, I just lost my job on account of you. Don't you think you owe me something?
owe you something?
Uh-huh.
Really been a fool. You're just a little boy, Billy. Very tall, very tan, but still a little boy.
Better come down, Henry. We don't want to hurt you.
I'm gonna count to 10, Henry. And then we're coming up after you.
1, 2. Better come down, Henry. 4, 5, 6.
All right, Muntz, leave him alone.
Glad you boys could get here.
You're the wrong guy, Muntz.
He delivered groceries yesterday afternoon to the Ord house. This proves it. He was the last one there.
That's a pretty big maybe for this kind of action, Muntz.
The way I figure it, she comes to the door in a robe or something, and the kid gets excited. She screams, and he has to keep her quiet, so he grabs a knife.
Henry Sanford never hurt anyone.
Hey, Lieutenant, what about his record?
What record?
Oh, you know, the sex crimes.
Did you tell them that?
He's got a yellow sheet in your own files. I found out about that.
Did you read it?
Not personally. If he wasn't a sex criminal, what's he doing with the yellow sheet?
A pervert. Tried to molest Henry in the bathroom of the bus station. Well, he bounced a can of cleanser off the skull of that creep. But before he could make us understand what happened, he was arrested and booked on assault.
He still could have killed Marion Ord. He sure ran when we came for him.
Yeah. All he saw were 5 or 6 men coming at him, and they all had guns.
Or he could have known we had him dead to rights.
Did you find out when he got to the grocery store?
1:30. And nobody saw her later than noon. So he was the last one in that house.
Except the boys at the lab will swear that the blood was spilled no earlier than 2:15. Henry, you can come down now. This is Lieutenant August, Henry. Do you remember me? You can come down, Henry. No one's going to do anything to you, except apologize.
Listen, I'm sorry about this. Now, you're gonna have to trust me. Now, just come on down, real easy. Nothing's gonna happen to you. All right?
I think you've got a piece of evidence that belongs to us. Come on, Muntz.
Maybe you mean this grocery list.
Let's go square things with your boss, Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. If we have any more questions, we'll call you. Bye. Well, that's Ord's customer again. He says he has no memory of his receptionist telling him that Mr. Ord was waiting to see him.
Did you get her name?
Yeah. Lillian Crane.
What about Sal Gilman?
He'll be at the sports club later.
Joe. Say you're going to check on travel time between here and Fresno.
The boys are out making a run now.
Okay. We know he was in Fresno at 12:30. And Paso Robles at 7:45. But that's all we know.
I'll wait until the boys come back.
But it's my guess he could have gotten back here in plenty of time.
He could have. What's his alibi holds up?
Lillian Crane's phone doesn't answer.
Joe, keep checking her every half hour. Right. I've got one stop to make when we pick up Sal Gilman at the sports club.
Let's face it, Orvie. Since they built a new pier, how much work is there here for a watchman?
I didn't tell them to put in the new pier. And the way they built it, someday somebody's going to ride an extra bicycle on it, and it's going to come apart at the seams.
Listen, Orvie, I need your help. We had a report that a person was seen throwing something off here Friday afternoon sometime. Could have been a body.
Well, I'm afraid I can't help you, Daniel. Friday's my day to visit my boy, the veterans. Anyway, if it was a body, it wouldn't be around here.
You mean the current?
Let's see. Friday afternoon. I'd be way down the bay by this time. Probably wash ashore on Goat Island sometime Sunday night.
Okay, Orvie. Thank you.
Of course, if it was a lady, it could be sooner.
What do you mean?
Well, now, Daniel, maybe you ain't never noticed, but ladies are built different. They float higher. You know what I mean?
Orvie, you're a dirty old man.
Well, sure. Them's the best kind. You'll find that out one of these days, Daniel.
So long, Orvie.
Fine, Sammy.
How's your mom? She's doing better. What can I do for you?
Well, you can let us in.
Oh, sure. But you'll have to park another lot, because they're resurfacing the good one. You can get in by the paddle tennis courts down at the end.
Saw Gilman in?
Drove in about 10 minutes ago. Probably changing.
Into what?
Huh?
Thanks, Sammy.
That's a lot of club.
Not too much. First 2 floors are locker rooms.
What do they got in the 3rd floor? An indoor golf course?
Servants' quarters.
I bet they live better than we do.
Who doesn't? Anyhow, this friend of mine is a yacht broker up in San Francisco. So I think I'll just run up there and see how he's doing. Hello, Gilman.
Gentlemen, this is Lieutenant August, one of our dedicated men in baby blue.
Want to talk to you, Gilman.
Yeah? Well, go ahead.
Downtown.
What do you want to talk about?
Marion Ord.
I hardly knew the lady.
Right now, we're asking for your cooperation. If you want, we'll get a warrant.
Yeah, well, maybe you better get one.
Might look better for you if you came voluntarily.
Listen, if something happened to Marion Ord, I had nothing to do with that. And you guys know it. The only reason you came down here is to make trouble for me in front of my friends, and it isn't going to work.
If I had my way, Gilman, I wouldn't come within 10 miles of you. You or a garbage dump.
Who do you think you're talking to?
I'm talking to you, Gilman. 16-year-old car thief. 21-year-old numbers runner and dope pusher. Who graduated to a 36-year-old con man and phony. One other thing, Gilman. Don't ever put your hands on me again. You or your hired help.
You've been slandering me, August, in front of my friends. These people are my witnesses.
Except it's all true. Isn't it, Gilman? You've got the convictions to prove it.
You know what? You're a dirty fin cop. And you're in trouble. And I mean it.
I'm sorry about one thing, Gilman. There's no convictions for being a phony. Well, maybe these people here could testify to that fact. You ready to go?
I used to see her at the club, that's all. I never even talked to her.
What about the photograph?
Well, you know how it is at the track. There's always a lot of people hanging around.
You're being stupid, Gilman. How long do you think it'd take us to tie you two together? We know the bars you hang out, and the ones you're considered a big man. You remembered, huh?
Okay, all right. Though I knew her. We were friends. And that doesn't mean I killed her.
When'd you meet her? Last summer at the club?
I told you, I never even talked to her there. I met her at the Boar's Head room, the Essex Inn. She was just sitting there looking like she wanted to be picked up, but not really like a hooker, you know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So I moved in, I sat down, I said hello. And we started talking. I told her I used to see her at the club. And, that's it.
That's what?
Well, she just started hanging around, that's all.
Okay, let's get back to Friday afternoon.
I told you, I spent the whole day at the club. I had a steam, I had a shower, and I played gin the rest of the afternoon with Bill Sampson.
We haven't reached Sampson yet.
Yeah, well, you better keep trying.
If Bill Sampson says you were with him yesterday afternoon, you can go. I'll be back, Gilman.
I can't wait.
Are women a lot different?
From what?
From each other, silly.
What do you want? You want me to tell you that you're really something special, huh?
No. Of course not. It's just that men are so different. I mean, I guess they are. For instance, another man I used to know always made me feel like we were in some kind of a fight, when it ought to be, you know.
I know.
When will I see you again, Sal?
You're tired of the fighters, huh?
Don't talk like that. I told you there's only been a couple before you came along.
And he didn't play nice. Like me, huh? What about your husband?
Well, he's away so much, and I like.
Hey. Hey. Whatever you like, you deserve to get because you're a very nice, pretty lady. A very bright lady.
I bet you know 1,000 girls prettier than me.
Can you get away next Thursday night?
Maybe. George is supposed to be in San Diego. I thought you said you had to be in Las Vegas the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I do.
I don't think I could go there. George might find out.
You wouldn't even have to leave town.
I don't understand.
Well, you see, there's this friend of mine. He's going to be here for a couple of days on business.
A friend?
Yeah. You'll like him, Marion. Believe me. And the way I hear it, he really knows how to treat a woman. You be nice to him, he'll be nice to you. You slipped the girl I know $150. She found it in her purse the next morning.
That's all?
That's all. You can buy yourself a couple of pretties for $1.50. Where are you going?
I want to get out of here.
Back to the fighters, huh?
It's my business.
All right. Think it over. About Thursday, I mean.
I don't have to think it over. I don't want any part of your friend or you, ever. I think you're nothing.
Oh, you're getting pretty touchy, aren't you? I told you you'd make it worth your while, and then some.
And that makes everything all right. Is that what you think?
No, that's not what I think. I just think if a lady like you wants to play around, she might as well get paid for it.
Why, you...
Oh! Hey! Hey!
Okay, Gilman, you can leave. Sampson said the two of you were playing cards yesterday afternoon.
Well, glad to be of service, fellas. You're gonna need all the help you can get.
If we had more, maybe you wouldn't be running around loose.
Mr. Gilman looks none too happy.
Maybe it wasn't the perfect host.
And I think you better bring in George Ord.
Not yet.
They're demanding some sort of action.
They're always demanding. Can't they arrange for a demonstration at the college or something?
Dan, this time it's no joke.
Now, I'm not trying to be funny, but we've only had a little over 24 hours.
Lieutenant. Thanks, Joe. Sergeant Rivera says the boys went over the Fresno-Santa Luisa-Paso Robles triangle. 6 hours, give or take 15 minutes.
You see, he could have made it.
Unless someone saw him in Fresno after 2 o'clock. Have you found their receptionist, Lillian Crane?
I've called her so many times I've memorized the number, but that's about all.
Checked Ord's car over yet?
Yeah, we've impounded it, and we found type, old blood on the steering wheel and a couple of other spots.
Same type as his wife.
Score 1 big point against George Ord.
What's Ord's type?
Same type, oh.
Well, he said he cut his hand changing the tire.
He said. He probably knew they both had the same blood type. He could have faked that accident in case we found any traces.
Charlie, where else did they find blood?
On the right front fender and the jack.
That could be a point for his side.
Is that where you stand, Dan?
Before I bring Ord in for killing his wife, I want to be able to prove it. I think we ought to wait till we talk to the missing receptionist.
And if she can't back him up?
We'll bring him in. Meanwhile, Gordon's out there on a stakeout. See you later.
Where are you going?
I'm a detective. I'm going out to detect.
Oh, a detective. That's what I want to be when I grow up.
There's no money in it.
I'd like to see Mr. Durston, please.
Senor Durston's not here.
Is Mrs. Durston here?
No, Senora Durston's not here, too.
Well, do you know when she'll be back?
She said 8 o'clock she come home.
Thank you very much. Anything new, Charlie?
Well, you suppose somebody's having a big party someplace and we're the only ones who weren't invited?
In other words, you're striking out.
Well, Mrs. Phelps called in again, complained about that prowler.
Still wishful thinking.
And a sailor fell off a Norwegian freighter in the bay. He drowned.
Is Katie around?
She's right here.
Katie, Undermeyer still there?
No, but he's got trouble.
What kind?
Male, Caucasian, about 6'1", uses the name Jack Parker.
And how did our honorable mayor tear himself away from the golf course?
I don't answer political questions. They want you to Parker's house right away.
Don't give me that, Frank. Your department just isn't cutting the mustard.
Jack, you can't expect the impossible. Oh, Dan, I'm glad you're here. Lieutenant August, he's been in charge of the Ord case.
Yes, I know. When are you making the arrest, Lieutenant?
Mayor Parker's been wondering why George Ord is not behind bars, Dan. I've been trying to explain it to him.
Well, we don't have a case yet, and we haven't found the body.
You really think she's still alive without 7 pints of blood? Her type, wasn't it? You don't need her body. You've got enough to lock him up and make the arrest, and then build your case.
What if he didn't do it?
A woman has already been killed, Lieutenant. I'd rather not risk any more lives on that chance.
Well, I don't understand the urgency.
All right. I'll level with you fellows. The out-of-state papers have always made California sound like a vacation spot for the criminally insane. And they're going to have a field day with this one. I'm on the Governor's Crime Commission, and this happens in my own backyard. I tell you, we've got to wrap it up quick.
And you'd risk sacrificing a man's life for a handshake with the governor.
That's uncalled for, Lieutenant.
Well, so is the arrest of George Ord. I'm still checking his alibi.
Jack, you had my job once. You must know that you're not giving us enough time.
All right. But if you don't wind this up in the next 24 hours, I personally will make the arrest. And if you don't, I'll see to it that you are relieved of duty. And suspended, if I can manage it.
May I?
Good cop, Jack. You take him off this case, you might destroy him.
We're all good cops, Frank. It's just that some of us have learned to bend with the wind.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe for a man that just shows a lack of spine.
Not understanding, just the damnation that my sins deserve. That is what I ask. For I have sinned, my brothers. I have sinned beyond redemption, beyond salvation. I have preached contemplation and abstinence to you as the promised avenue to glory, but I have preached falsehoods. And I say to you,
Reverend, I'm Lieutenant August. Police Department.
You are welcome here.
I understand Marion Ord was a member of your congregation.
She was, but she left us.
Looks like quite a few have left you.
I sent them away. I found I could no longer teach others an ideal in which I no longer had any faith.
When was the last time you saw her?
The day she left this congregation.
Where were you Friday afternoon?
I am presently devoting my time to meditation.
Friday afternoon, Reverend.
I was here.
Alone?
You think I had something to do with the murder of Mrs. Ord?
I'll be sending a man around to take your statement.
It seems that lately I have broken several commandments, Mr. August. Not that one.
Then may I suggest when you make your statement, you don't break another one.
Another one?
Thou shalt not bear false witness. I wouldn't try and go anywhere, Reverend.
Do you like it?
You've done a beautiful job. I mean it. The children would be just delighted. You must have spent hours on this.
Oh, I have a lot of time, I'm afraid.
I must tell you, Marion, that since you've joined us, I've noticed a great change in you.
Really? Oh, I hope so.
You know, at first I thought you were one of those others. Women who sometimes come to us because they're trying to fill some vast emptiness in their own lives. Desperate women trying frantically to give some importance to themselves, looking for answers to their problems in all the wrong places.
And I'm not one of those desperate women?
No. You look for your answers in the right place, within yourself. And I believe I know what you found.
Do you?
You found a great reservoir of strength and beauty.
Oh, I forgot. The curtain. Oh, I was afraid that might happen. home. Scum! Filthy, lecherous scum! Like all of them!
Marion, please.
Please what? What do you want now?
I'm in love with you, don't you understand?
I understand you're a fake. A filthy, lying fake. And that white coat, you probably wear it so nobody can see all the dirt that's underneath.
We'll go away together. Someplace
Hands
else.
off me! All that holy purity. You know what it is? Fear. That's all. Just fear. And I thought I could learn something from you. Become a better person. Or some junk like that. Well, I learned something all right. I learned I'm a better person than you'll ever be because at least when I want sex, I'm honest about it. I came to you because I needed help. I thought I'd hit bottom. I'd become something for men to pass around like a dirty joke. Well, I didn't know how far down bottom really was. Keep up the good works, Reverend.
Mrs. Thurston, won't be a moment, Lieutenant, please.
Thank you.
Lieutenant August. Is that right?
That's right.
How do you do?
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Now, what is all this about?
I'm investigating the disappearance of Marion Ord.
And why come to me?
Well, I understand you... Well, you knew Mrs. Ord.
Well, I am glad that you didn't say I was a friend of hers.
Mrs. Durston, a young man named Billy Foley, said you were responsible for his being fired.
Oh? And Marion Ord? She had nothing to do with it.
I gather you didn't like Mrs. Ord.
I don't know what you're implying, Lieutenant. But the fact is that it was getting to be a real scandal. Foley's room was in the servants' row, and every child playing around the pool, could see her sneaking up there. I'm pretty sure that she even had a key.
I understand that neither you nor your husband saw the Ord socially.
Are you serious, Lieutenant? He was some kind of a traveling salesman or something, wasn't he? And I've already told you what kind of a woman she was.
Where is your husband, Mrs. Durston?
He went on a hunting trip on Friday. I don't know when he'll be back.
Do you know when he left?
No, I wasn't home.
Will you have him call me when he gets in?
Lieutenant, I am not stupid, and I do not wish to be treated as if I were. In some kind of heavy-handed way, you are trying to connect my husband with the death of Marion Ord.
I beg your pardon. All I want to do is talk to him.
Well, my husband could not have had anything to do with Marion Ord. And if you insist upon pursuing the matter, you'll find yourself defending a case of malicious prosecution.
Thank you for your help, Mrs. Durston. I'll find my way out.
Don't lie to me. You were seen together more than once in restaurants and bars.
I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react exactly this way.
And what'd you expect me to do? Pick up the checks?
I told you she called me because she wanted to talk to me about the club.
Oh, of course. The club.
She wanted to find out if there wasn't some way she could keep her membership.
Like sleeping with the president?
You're not even trying to listen to me.
Oh, come on, Paul. You were caught holding hands with her. Making a fool out of yourself with that cheek. Making a fool out of me.
It wasn't that kind of thing.
Oh, come on, Paul. Give up. You were caught. For the first time, maybe, but you were caught.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, the first time?
Oh, I'd say 6, 7 women in the last 3 years.
Well, that's simply ridiculous.
You know it isn't. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about Marion Ord. And I think I know how it happened. You walked into that room and saw her with Billy Foley and suddenly realized that Marion Ord was an available woman.
Connie, will you please stop it?
You could never pass up an available woman, could you? It just took you longer this time.
All right. There's no sense in trying to talk to you. Just tell me what it is exactly you want from me.
Nothing. But if I ever hear of you even being in the same room with that woman again, I'll walk out that door with every cent of yours that I can put my hands on. And you won't look too good in the papers either. Do you understand?
Are you through?
Not quite.
Be my guest. She's Lillian Crane, receptionist for Amtech Supply. We just got here. Miss Crane was spending the weekend in a cabin up at Big Bear. So I drove up early, and there were 3 guys and 3 girls. All of them stoned on grass. They must have seen me coming and tossed it all in the fireplace. I tell you, Lieutenant, the smell in that cabin was enough to turn on half of L.A.
Ashes to ashes.
How is she now?
Well, the drive back took about 3 hours, and she's still high.
You told her about her rights?
Yes, sir.
Would you come with me, Miss Crane? Your name's Lillian Crane.
That's right.
You're employed as a receptionist at the Amtech Supply in Fresno.
Yes.
Were you working Friday, the 19th of February?
Yes.
Miss Crane, do you remember if George Ord was in your office Friday?
He might have been there.
But you can't swear to it.
No. It could have been Thursday or Wednesday. Besides, how do you expect me to remember him?
Well, a man's life depends on what you remember, Miss Crane.
Well, I guess that's his problem.
Where'd you have lunch Friday?
I brought my lunch.
Where'd you eat it?
There's a little park about a block from the office.
When you got back to the office, you were as high as a kite.
I did my work.
But you don't remember anything. Do you turn on every day, Miss Crane?
That is my business.
Not anymore, it isn't. Mr. Thomas would be interested in knowing he has a pothead sitting outside his office.
Come on now, I'll lose my job. And Mr. Thomas knows my folks. He'll tell him.
Well, I guess that's your problem.
Dan, I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
Prepare a statement, Sergeant. Never sign it.
Not so funny anymore, huh?
Well, you turn over a rock and that damnedest things crawl out.
Forget about her.
Not easy. A lot lighter these days.
I've got a bigger problem. Mayor Parker's on his way over here.
So?
So I think we better go ahead without him.
What do you mean?
I mean, George Ord, I think you better pick him up.
All right.
We know his alibi's no good, and if he found out what kind of a tramp his wife was, he most certainly had a motive.
Yeah, it's motive, okay.
You still think it's too easy, huh? I told you, lots of them are.
Well, it's not that. Something's been bugging me about this case. Has, ever since the beginning.
All right, what?
Damn it, Frank, if I knew what it was, I'd tell you.
This is a murder case, Dan. Hunches don't count. Pick him up.
All right. I'll have him back in half an hour.
Hello.
Hi, Margaret. Where's your daddy?
He's gone.
What is it, Lieutenant?
We'd like to speak to your brother.
You go inside, darling. He isn't here now.
Well, where is he, Mrs. Miller?
I don't know. He may have gone next door, I suppose.
Thank you.
Lieutenant!
What happened, Gordon?
He was heading for the car. I asked him where he was going. He said he had something in the trunk. Well, I thought it was important, so I said I'd get it. Next thing I know, I was lying here. Me and this lump on the back of my head. I'm sorry, Lieutenant.
When this happened?
At least an hour ago.
Better get him in the car.
I blew it, huh?
I'd say that's a pretty good guess.
You knew he left, didn't you?
I didn't know. I mean, I could have...
He's going to bring me a present.
I told you to stay inside, Margaret.
When is he going to bring you a present, honey?
When he comes back from his trip.
And where did he go?
He took a suitcase and he went away. Didn't he, Aunt Leigh?
Do you know where he went?
No. He just asked me for some cash and said he'd be in touch.
How much cash?
Everything I had put away, nearly $600.
You know this won't do him any good, Mrs. Miller.
I tried to tell him.
If you hear from him, tell him again.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's a case of plain and simple dereliction. A woman was murdered, and you knowingly let your prime suspect wander around free until he decided it was time to take off.
We had him under surveillance.
You should have had him in jail.
We'll get him back. Every agency within 500 miles is working with us.
But you lost him. The point is you had him and you lost him.
Well, he can't get far, and I'm still not positive he was guilty.
Oh. I didn't read of your appointment to the bench, Lieutenant.
He's just been spotted.
Which way's he heading, Carter?
East on Highway 314.
Is he alone?
As far as we can tell.
Carter, this is Chief Huntermeyer. I want him stopped, but don't use any weapons unless you have to.
Right, sir.
Zero in all the other cars.
Attention, all units.
Sure's not about to pull over. Huntermeyer said no weapons.
He said unless you have to.
Should be here any minute, unless they goofed on the location. Ben? I think I hear him now.
Looked like he could start a new life in Mexico or someplace.
He had $600 to buy whatever he needed.
He had $27 on him when we picked him up. They checked the car.
Doing the best they can.
What'd the doctor say?
They checked him out and let him rest. All he needed was a couple of stitches. We can talk to him as long as we want.
Okay. Take him in there. Tell the boys to look for anything on that car that might tell us where he could have been since he left home.
Right.
What difference does that make?
Well, maybe he'd gone back to check on the body. Maybe he wanted to make sure it was well concealed.
Well, might as well talk to him.
Do you mind if I sit in on it?
Could I stop you, Jack?
Afraid not.
And by all means, sit in.
Thank you.
How are you feeling, Mr. Ord?
I'm all right, I guess.
Did Sergeant Revere explain your position under the laws of California and the Constitution of the United States?
I don't want a lawyer.
Thanks, Joe. Mr. Ord, did you kill your wife?
No, sir.
Then why'd you hit that policeman and make a run for it?
I'm sorry I hit him. I was frightened. You see, I wasn't sure that receptionist would remember me.
Well, she didn't. Do you know why she didn't? Because you weren't there.
I was there. It's just that I don't make much of an impression on people, I guess.
Mr. Ord, this morning you borrowed $600 from your sister. Where is it?
I spent it.
On what?
I don't remember.
You intended on staying away, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
How'd you plan on managing that with what you had in your suitcase?
Well, I didn't think about it. I just wanted to get out of town.
We're not getting any place, Lieutenant. We know you killed her, Mr. Ord. The only thing left is why.
Mr. Parker, I believe I'm conducting this interrogation.
About as effectively as you handled the arrest.
Nevertheless, it's still a police matter, and I'd appreciate it if you just stand there and listen.
Your man's getting a little insolent, Chief.
He's not my man. That's why I like him.
Oh? Well, you get this straight. From now on, don't expect any favors from me.
I don't think you owe me any. I didn't even vote for you.
Mr. Ord, we found out a few things about your wife. We have reason to believe she had involvements with other men.
She was cheating on me. Is that what you mean, Lieutenant?
You knew about these men?
Maybe not all of them, but enough.
What'd you do about it?
Nothing.
Why not?
I didn't want to lose her.
That doesn't make sense, man.
Didn't you ever love anyone, Lieutenant?
But how could you love a woman that could hurt you like that?
Maybe he gets his kicks that way.
Stay out of it, Parker, and I mean it. Mr. Ord, how could you still love her?
I understood her, I suppose. She wasn't like that in the beginning at all. You see, I'm not exactly what you'd call a good-looking man, Lieutenant. There was never any, little black telephone books for me or any affairs. Not much of anything, in fact. And then I met Marion. And I wanted to get her everything I could. Home, clothes, everything, but... Well, gradually, I began to realize I couldn't give her enough of the one thing she really needed. Reassurance she was still a beautiful woman.
And a Billy Foley could.
And you know about him? Yes, I guess he could. I suppose he could make her feel like she was 20 again.
And there were other men? Brian Hagen? Gilman? Thurston?
Marion isn't like other people, Lieutenant. She's a frightened little girl. She thinks all she has to offer me or anyone is her looks, body, her sex. And she was special, Lieutenant. When the years started getting to her, when those lines came around the eyes and around the neck, well, she began to panic, She has to feel that she's still beautiful, still desirable, She thinks that's all she is. She told me once she kept feeling as if she were in a long, long fall and there was nobody to stop her. Except other men, I'm afraid.
She told you about these men?
Yeah. Every time she felt she was in trouble or that she had done something wrong, she'd come to me and she would cry for forgiveness.
And you'd forgive her?
I told you, Lieutenant, I love her.
But isn't it possible that one day, say Friday, you stop forgiving her?
No.
And we both know what happens. You get angry, push it down, you push it away. It doesn't go away, it just sits there, hot and festering, eating you up. And then one day it gorges out of your throat and all the controls are gone. You want to scream your guts out. You want to hit somebody. You want to kill somebody. That's right, isn't it, George? That's the way it is. That's the way it was, wasn't it, George?
Yes! But I didn't do it. Nobody. I couldn't do it.
Dan. hate to bother you, but we just got a phone call. The body's been washed up on Goat Island.
Any identification?
Not yet. They're bringing the body into the municipal pier right now. Oh, by the way, the lab reported finding some pepper seeds embedded in the tires of his car, so I'm having some of the boys dig around that pepper grove down near the old dairy. Just thought I'd check it out just to make sure. I'll meet you down at the pier.
Great.
Dan.
Guess we lock him up?
If it's Marion Ord, Sergeant Willens sure sent some of the men out for nothing.
Well, here it comes.
Whoever it was must have got caught in the screws of some boat. I'm afraid the fish didn't help much.
Can you tell us anything?
Like what, Lieutenant?
For a start, what about sex?
Male, white, somewhere between 20 and 50. Anything after that, I'll need the lab's help.
Sailor off that Norwegian freighter?
Suppose so.
You know, Lieutenant, until tonight, I never realized what that word really meant.
What word?
Remains.
Lieutenant! Man's body, huh?
Coroner thinks it was a sailor off that Norwegian freighter.
Probably was. Well, I struck out too. This case comes to one big loose end. No body, no witnesses, no weapon. Except for that mess in the kitchen, it's like it never even happened. All the boys got was a lot of exercise and some pepper seeds.
Well, it happened, all right. Take the next right.
Well, wait, we gotta go see Anna Meyer and Parker.
The next right, Sergeant.
Where to?
Sports club.
Souvenir.
Yeah. Pepper seed.
Pepper tree.
Yeah.
Wait for me. You know, Charlie, if anyone asks you if I'm a good detective, the answer's a loud, flat no.
You kidding?
Within the first 2 minutes I was on this case, I had the most important piece of evidence right here in my hand. It didn't even register.
What evidence?
The grocery list.
I'm a pretty smart detective, but I don't get that.
That list showed what Henry Sanford brought to the house. Well, it was cheese, oleo, meat, and the milkman said he brought 2 quarts of milk and some orange juice. None of that was in the house. Doesn't figure that somebody would kill a housewife to raid her icebox. Whoever took it knew they were going into hiding. The best bet was Marion Ord herself.
Yeah, but how did you figure the sports club? I mean, there's lots of pepper trees.
That was just a good guess. But Mrs. Durston, she said Marion had a key to Foley's room, and during the winter the club's not too busy.
So we still got a problem, right?
You mean whose blood is all over the kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I just saw him, or what was left of him.
Yeah, but that was a sailor, the one that fell off the freighter.
I don't think so. Not according to my old friend Orvie down at the pier. That body I saw arrived on schedule. They can look for the sailor tomorrow.
Well, then who was killed?
I've got a pretty good idea. Oh, here we are.
Dan.
Tom will be in about an hour.
Figured Katie's home already?
Well, when I called, you said in about 10 minutes.
I still don't get it.
There's nothing to get. I don't care what she's done. She's still a woman. I can't take her in looking like that. Mrs. Ord? Mrs. Ord? Still don't know what happened Friday, Mrs. Ord.
2 weeks. I hadn't heard a word from him in almost 2 weeks.
Who, Mrs. Ord?
You see, I thought he really loved me, and I couldn't understand it. It wasn't like him. It wasn't like him at all.
Mrs. Ord, who are you talking about?
I had to talk to him. You see, I couldn't get to sleep the night before. George was away, and I was scared. I'm always scared when I'm alone. I got maybe 2 hours. And when I got up, I knew I just had to talk to him. So I waited until I knew he'd be at the office. And then I called him and I begged him to come over. He wouldn't come. And then I told him if he didn't come, I'd phone his wife and I'd tell her everything about us.
Who, Mrs. Ord? Who are you talking to? Was it Paul Durston?
I was in love with him. And I thought he loved me.
What happened?
You know what happened.
But I have to know how. You can't be serious.
Please don't laugh at me.
Well, my dear, you can't expect me to believe all this now, can you? If you'll excuse me,
No, please. Please don't go.
I am going hunting, Marion. I'm going off to the mountains by myself where I won't even have to see a woman for 2 whole days. And if you so much as think about calling my wife...
But I need you. Oh,
Marion,
God, I need
don't
you.
make it something it wasn't. We both had our fun for a couple of months, but it's over. You'll find someone else just like you found me.
Oh, I want you. I want you.
Sure. Just like you wanted that lifeguard, that phony preacher, Sal Gilman, all of those...
No, I only told you about those others because I thought we should be honest with each other so we could start fresh, start clean.
Clean? That's a laugh.
Oh, no, but they were trash, just trash, that's all. And then when I met you, I knew it was right, it was real. I wasn't afraid of anything anymore. Paul, I'm going to tell George I'm going to leave him.
Oh.
I never thought I could ever do that, ever. I never wanted to. I want to marry you.
What makes you think I would leave my wife for a little tramp like you, huh?
Oh, Paul, the things we said, that you promised.
All that talk, all those words, meaningful, involved, important, you know what they're for? So that when you lock the door on some dreary little motel room, you can tell yourself you're not just being a whore.
I'm not a whore.
Well, I'm sorry to shatter your precious little illusions, my dear, but that's exactly what you are.
I am He parked his car in the back, so nobody could see it from the street, I guess. I don't know how exactly, but I managed to get him in the trunk. Then I drove out to the Point Street Pier. It's practically deserted now, you know, since they built the new one. And then, I guess you know the rest.
You in that room at the club since Friday?
I sneaked out once to call George last night. He said they thought I was dead. He thought so too.
What were you planning on doing?
George told me he'd keep the police busy, and I was to drive away a few hours after dark tonight. Was just getting ready to leave when you came. He won't get in any trouble, will he?
George? He almost got himself killed trying to lead us away from you.
Is he all right?
Yeah, he's all right. And, well, he must love you very, very much.
God. Oh, God.
Parker didn't look too happy. I guess he figured on seeing you in front of a firing squad.
Maybe next time.
Word's out on bail, huh?
Hitting a cop can be rough, but I think they'll let him off with a fine.
How about getting a cup of coffee someplace?
I don't know. Mr. Ord? Can I give you a lift anyplace?
No, I think the walk will do me good. Lieutenant, do you think she's got a chance? Self-defense, maybe?
I'm afraid not. A good lawyer may be able to make murder second out of it. You know that can be pretty expensive.
Well, I'll raise the money somehow. She loves me, Lieutenant. After everything that's happened, she still loves me.
Good night, Mr. Ord.
Doesn't he know how she felt about Mr. Durston?
You want to tell him?
Well, what's he gonna do if she gets sent up for, say, 20 years?
The same thing he'll do if they give her life. He'll wait.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, Charlie.